Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have the pleasure of bringing on Ben from Ben Mania onto the Nice Fine Wholesale YouTube channel. Because Ben is awesome, and you guys have already seen him on one of our videos, right, Ben? In the Vegas video, you made an appearance.
Yeah, a couple times in that video, actually.
Yeah, so we met a couple years back, I think at ASD, right?
It was at ASD, yes.
All right, awesome. So, tell the people why you're here. Who are you? What's Ben Mania?
So Ben Mania is a store that I started back in 2018. It was just an idea I had to, get into the Ben store world, get into everything, and see what I can do with it. Pretty much, I was working for a guy one day, and he came to me and said, hey, we're going to have to let you go due to the company not producing the finances that it needed to. I said, okay, that's cool. So being me, my mom always said my mouth's going to get me in some trouble, right? So me being me, I sat down and thought, what's the next move in life? Where am I going to go? What do I know? Well, I knew reselling back from not only from working for the other liquidator, but from my childhood, selling pop out of my book bag, doing all these very interesting things just to make some money. I even sold on eBay before I was allowed to sell on eBay underneath my dad's name. This was back 2019 when they were still sending checks through the mail. That's how long I've been on
reselling.
eBay.
So you've been a reseller pretty much your whole life.
Yeah, from my middle school years on up, I've been selling because it's just an easy way to make a quick dollar for me.
Awesome. So, let's rewind back a little bit. So you said that you were working for a liquidator, got laid off, and then jumped into your own venture, right? But before working for this liquidator, did you ever know what liquidation is? What were you doing before this?
So before this, I was doing staffing. I was a staffing specialist for a couple of different staffing agencies in Ohio.
And this is a 9-to-5 corporate gig, never have anything to do with liquidation before that.
Correct. Pretty much what it was is I was just finding people to stand on a line and work in a warehouse or a factory all day long.
Okay.
That's what my job was, and it was a 9-to-5 type corporate atmosphere where I was in charge of 200 to 300 people a day doing just making sure that they're doing their job that we hired them for.
Okay, interesting. So then you got a job at a liquidator, and it was a store or a warehouse or?
It was. So it was a little tiny liquidation store out in Podunk, Newark, Ohio, and he was just starting out. So when I first got hired with him, I was his very first employee, and we were out of a 2,000 square foot storage unit.
Okay.
And then he ended up moving into a bigger, more professional retail location, and that's where he hired like 2 more other people with me, and that's when we really started to grow and where I really started to learn a lot about liquidations and what this industry has to offer.
Okay, so how did you go from that to owning your own store?
So 2018 again, he pulled me aside and said, look, we're gonna have to let somebody go, and unfortunately I was that person. And so like I said, my mom says my mouth's gonna get me in some trouble. So I just sat back and I was like, how am I going to get my next move in life?
Yeah.
I know I don't want to keep working for people and having these type of things happen because it happens a lot. It's corporates, right?
Dude, so, that's how I got started. I got laid off my corporate gig as an accountant and got laid off and had to decide like, all right, what is the next move in my young life? You know, so, like my life cord just got cut and it's like, all right, you got to start making money somehow, right?
Right. So I'm sitting there thinking, I definitely want to be the boss of my future. Right, I want to be control of my destiny. I don't want to leave it in somebody's else's hands anymore. So I was thinking, and I kept thinking. So I created a business plan, this little 5-page business plan, and I took it to the guy that I bought my very first pallet from, who was about 15 minutes from me. I took it to him, and I was like, hey, this is my opportunity to go. Now, granted, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had $0 to my name, literally $0. So I went to this guy and I said, this is what I can do. This is how I want to do it. This is what I need to get it started. He handed me $13,000 and said, show me what you can do.
So he invested in you.
So he invested in me. He handed me $3,000 to pay my bills for the next 3 months. And then he handed me another $10,000 to invest into my company. Nice. He was like, show me what you can do. And we had very little like agreements between each other. It was just pretty much $10,000 in a handshake and said, show me what you can do. So I did just that. I went out, I found a very little storefront in this little C-class shopping center off the main road in Heath, Ohio. It was 3,500 square feet. It had no loading dock or anything like that, but it had a giant garage door, a front door, and well, big open space. So I was like, this is where I'm going to start at. So I started out buying 1, 2, 3 pallets at a time from the guy who gave me the 10,000. Because one of our agreements was that.
This is back in 2018?
This was back in 2018.
So 5 years ago, yeah. So
Yes.
it's crazy because this, this idea that you started 5 years ago has really just hit the scene now, right? People are buying these pallets and reselling them, and they think it's this new trend, but it's been around for years.
It's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the market's completely different than it was back then as it is today. Huge worlds of a difference in the market. But the opportunity that landed in my hand, I had to take it. There's no way I wasn't going to take it, because how many times in your life do you have someone hand you $10,000 and say, if you fail, you don't have to pay me back?
So what did you do with this $10,000?
So the $10,000, within a month, Ben Mania was born. Literally, the name was then put into an LLC. We started getting our sourcing of product. We started figuring out how we were going to display the products. And let me tell you, my first displays, you could tell I only had $10,000. Let me tell you that much. They were these little.
You got to start somewhere, right?
You do. There were these little rolly bins.
And this was a bin store?
It was a bin store, yes, at the time, but it was different because we started pricing everything 10, 5, 3, and 1.
Oh, so there was no like daily drop schedule?
Not at first, because we wanted to try to be different, right? Because we wanted to see if we could sell items higher prices, and we wanted to see if we could keep people coming in that high foot traffic every day. Well, let me tell you, the amount of work behind that was not worth it.
So it didn't work?
No, it wasn't, because it was too much labor behind it. Sure, were you able to sell this stuff for 10, 5, 3, 1 every day? Someone come in, did customers love it? Yeah, absolutely loved it. However, you had to pay like 2 or 3 full-time employees in the back of your building, just sitting there, sticker, processing and deciding where something should go. So it got very tiring and very old very quickly. So then we jumped into the daily pricing market, and it worked very, very well. And Ben Mania became one of the biggest liquidation stores in that area very quickly from this model, and very quickly from being able to keep it consistent through the whole entire time of that business. And it became so popular that we were starting to get noticed by people I never thought we would have, very quickly. And my ex-boss was just scratching his head the whole way through. He was like, okay, maybe I made the wrong choice. But, happens. It's life.
Yeah, that is life, right? Your skill set was just something else.
I was being underutilized with him, pretty much is what it was. I was back there testing product and putting product to the floor and pricing product, when really I should be out there selling the product, being able to work with people and to move the product for you, and not be in the backhand, being the physical labor of things.
Okay, so what is Ben Mania now? How big is it? I know you just built a store, right? Hopefully I'm not revealing too much.
No, you're perfectly fine. So Ben Mania now. So back from the little tiny store, it now has 2 locations. Both of them are definitely bigger sizes. One of them is 15,000 square feet. The other one's 12,000 square feet. And we have some of the nicest liquidation stores you can come into in that area. Our old store did become a warehouse, because we're moving so much product now that we do need places to store product, to back in things, to make sure that we're always stocked, we're always available. And we carry a bigger, more wide variety of product than what we ever had. So you can come in and find anything from just your random finds where you're just like, oh, okay, this is random, to staples that you can find all the time. So it's like, oh, I want this particular product. Well, I have it, so you come in and you buy it at all times.
No, it makes sense, right? And it keeps the foot traffic driving from both directions, right?
It does.
So, you transitioned from having $10,000 into buying multiple truckloads of product at a time now, right? What are your favorite liquidation truckloads, right? I gotta ask. Everybody has their favorite.
Oh, my favorite, and I know a lot of people hate on them, but man, do I love those Walmarts.
Really?
I do, and I know a lot of people hate them, but I love them.
Walmart general merchandise?
Oh gosh, yes, I do. That, and probably my second runner-up is definitely those Targets, only because it's those boxes. Those boxes draw eyes, and those
like the product
sales.
Packaging, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of people use Amazon for their, bin stores and liquidation stores. And that product is all brown box, ladies and gentlemen. So it doesn't sell as fast, I would say, as product from Target or Walmart.
It doesn't have the wow factor behind it, right? Because it's all designed to be on a website to be sold, right? But then you go Walmart and it has that wow factor, because you're just walking by yourself, like, oh, hey. Like the squirrel effect. Anybody who's ADHD.
Squirrel effect.
Anybody who's ADHD knows what I'm talking about. It's that squirrel effect. Because you're just like walking through the store and like, oh, that's pretty. And they see the pretty shiny box. They pick up the pretty shiny box and they buy said pretty shiny box.
Definitely makes sales.
Because they like what's in it, right? So like that's what makes and drives the sales. When it's a brown box, they're just like, I've seen 6 of those on my porch yesterday.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like nothing special.
That makes sense. So, I mean, you've been doing this for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So, another classic question. What is your favorite and most crazy item found story that you can share with us?
Well, my most crazy is definitely not PG, so we won't get into that one.
I've definitely found some non-PG things.
Oh, there's a ton of non-PG things. Trust me, we have a bin of sin for that reason.
What is the bin of sin? I gotta ask.
All right, so the bin of sin, to try to keep this as PG as possible, this guy comes into me one
I don't know.
day.
Are we PG? Are we PG?
Let it rip.
I don't know. Just let it rip.
So
this is the Nice Fine Wholesale YouTube channel, baby.
All right, so-
we do what we want.
So we're sitting there, right? And this guy comes in. He just bought this fake, woman's area toy 2 days ago. 2 days ago, just bought it. Comes into me and says, I need another one of those items. And I'm like, dude, you just bought one 2 days ago. What the heck happened? And
He's
like,
destroyed it.
He's like, I sinned too much last night.
Oh,
His
my
exact
Lord.
words. He's like, I sinned too
Maybe
much.
this is a little bit too much PGR.
And I'm like, okay, I get that. So he's like, so I need to see the bin of sin. And from that day, boom, the bin of sin is what everybody calls it. Because we don't keep it on the floor because we don't want little Billy to see this stuff, right?
Little Billy.
But you're going
Poor
to
little Billy.
Little Billy.
No, it's
Mama don't wanna
true.
give
It's
little
true
Billy
because
that
it's
thought.
you're gonna have this stuff that's out in the open, and then a lot of people will get a bad taste for it.
Yeah, so
Also depends on your area.
Right. So we didn't want to have the reputation of teaching the birds and the bees to little Billy. So we decided to put the stuff in the back. And our customers come in, and now they know to ask for, specifically, the bin of sin.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's all the product you can't put out because of those reasons. And everybody loves it. They absolutely love it. And we upsell it. We upsell it all. So instead of selling
Charge a premium.
Oh, yeah. So some of this stuff can go for $200 retail. Yeah, I'm going to charge you about $100 for that item. I'm not going to sell you.
So, this brings me to my next topic, I guess, is just reselling overall, right? I feel like this is literally a skill set that you should be able to put on your resume at this point, right?
Oh, for
It's
sure.
a huge industry. There's a lot that goes into it. So reselling, that's what you do now. You said you kind of grew up on it. Talk to me. What's the skill set needed to be a successful reseller?
So to be definitely a successful reseller, one of the biggest things is you have to be a people person all around. You can't be shy. You can't be afraid to kind of...
good salesman.
Well, yeah, and you can't be afraid to kind of make a fool of yourself sometimes, because sometimes...
Like us on this podcast?
For sure. No, for sure. Like, because if you can make someone laugh, you're 5 times more likely to make that person into a customer.
True.
Because you're going to connect with them on a personal level, and then they're going to want to buy from you, right? So if you can make them laugh, if you can entertain them, and then you can also, while you're entertaining them, though, you have to be able to educate them on what you're selling at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you can educate, make them laugh, and entertain them all in one thing, dude, that person's going to be a customer for life because they're going to connect you on a personal level, and they're just going to keep coming back. So in order to be a reseller, you have to be able to step out of your comfort zone. You need to be able to connect with people on a personal level, and you have to believe in the product that you're selling. And once you can do those things, it's endless. You have no clue of how much you can sell to somebody because they just like to talk to you. You could like I have one customer. He started with me from the beginning. He would sit there and he would talk to me for 2, 3, 4 hours in a day. Just sit there and talk to me.
Just pick your brain?
He would just talk to me about random stuff. And he would be like, well, what do you think about the Browns right now? We would just talk about random stuff. There was never any, so there'll be no reason to what he's talking about. But he's been a customer for life, and every time he steps in my store, he spends $200 to $300 every single time. And the reason why he keeps coming back, it's not necessarily because he wants to just buy what I have. It's because he wants to talk.
He wants to hang out.
Yeah, he wants to hang out. He wants to have that fun, right? Because we connected on a personal level. So now he comes in and buys everything from me. Before he goes anywhere else, he'll see if I have it first. Because we became a friend over those times, and he became that personal level.
That's customer service.
Yeah.
That's tier 1.
Right. So it's all about knowing when to sell, how to sell it, and connecting with these people on that sell, on what it is. And you also have to make sure that you're also not becoming too friendly with these people, because if you become too friendly, then they start to walk. You don't want them to walk all over you, right? So you have to find these fine lines. Once you find these fine lines, it's endless. The money's out there.
That's interesting, man. That's a good take. I like that, right? What about people that are getting into the liquidation space, right? Would you still recommend that this is a viable business model?
So that is can go into 16 different ways, right? So liquidations, I do believe, yes, it is a great way to get into business because it is where you learn business. So let's say liquidations, you don't need to dump $1 million into it.
So
to
the
start.
cost, the entry barrier is pretty low.
The entry's low, right? Because you can go down to a place like Nice Fine Wholesales and you can buy
Come find us there.
a pallet, right? You can find a pallet, or if you're in my area, Ben and Mania pallet sales.
We ship to Ohio.
Better. But no, on a real note, right? You can find these places like that are going to sell you one pallet. You're investing maybe $1,000 into it, right? You're investing $1,000 into it, and that's going to teach you a couple of things. One, is this something I really want to do?
Because it ain't easy.
It's not easy. It's a grind. Two, is this something I can see myself doing for a long time, right? Three, do I have that salesman skill set that I think I do?
Yeah.
Do I actually have it? Am I really going to be able to do this?
100%. I couldn't agree more. I always tell people, if you can't afford the pallet, go to the bin store. Hit the bin stores, invest $100. See if you can flip those 5 items you picked up, right? Or whatever, 10. If you can do it, then keep scaling up, right? Bin store to a pallet, from a pallet to a half load, from a half load to a truckload, store, warehouses, whatever you want. Sky's the limit. That's why I like liquidation.
Oh, for sure. But however, I will kind of expand on that though. So you hit the bin store, right? You find 5 items that you think you can flip, right? Don't quit your first time. If 100%. You find out that those 5 items don't move very quickly, or you're having a hard time selling those 5 items,
you still learn something.
Right. Well, you're learning something, but also the biggest thing you can take away from there is, okay, those don't sell. But your next time, you might find 5 items and they sell immediately. Yeah. It might not necessarily be you. It could be your product, right? So you need to give yourself 1, 2, 3 chances before you end up deciding, quit, this isn't something I want to do.
Same thing with pallet sales, right? Sometimes they're a hit, sometimes they're a miss, but it's about the long-term goal here.
You might be thinking, okay, I'm going to buy this Pop It, right? Because every kid wants a Pop It, right? But you're not educated on the market. It's extremely
highly advised against that.
It's an extremely terrible idea. But let me go with what I was going with this, right? It's an extremely terrible idea. However, you think it's good because you see every kid having one, right? In elementary school, so you're thinking, I can sell this. I bought it on Dollar Day for $1. I should be able to sell this for $3 or $4. But you're not realizing, everybody and their mother has one, and nobody wants them, right? They're a dead toy at this point because everybody has one. The market's saturated with them, so you're not going to be able to sell it because they're just going to go somewhere and buy it for $1 all day long, right? So you made a bad buy. It doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't be in liquidations. It just means you made a bad buy. And I'm sure you and I could go on for hours about bad buys, right?
No.
Yeah, okay.
All the buys I make are great. No, I'm just kidding. You take hits all the time. You take hits all the time, and that's just part of the journey, right? It's all about the long term.
100%. Part of this whole business is learning what to buy, how to buy it, and getting over those hurdles in the road, right? Because you're correct. Liquidations is where you go to learn. Yep. So if your end goal is, I want to start a entertainment company, or I want to start a restaurant or something, liquidations is going to teach you on how, 1, customer service, 2, how to jump over those hurdles, and 3, how to sell something that's going to be next to impossible to sell. Yep. You have to figure it out. So you're learning a lot from liquidations before you jump into anything bigger.
But overall, still money in liquidation?
There is a lot of money in liquidation.
So your recommendation is go for liquidation. It's a go. It's a green light. Yes. There's still opportunity in the market.
Go.
It might not be bin stores. It might not be this or that, but there's tons of other ways to make money.
There's a ton of different ways to make money. I am saying go for liquidations, but go for it in a very smart way. Have a plan behind you. Don't just jump and think you're going to become rich, because it's not going to happen. You got to have that mind behind you. You got to be able to figure out, where's my capital coming from? Who am I buying from? Where's my sources? Where should I set up my sales at? How do I want to sell? Do I want to sell online? Do I want to sell in person? Do I want to sell in a storefront? You got to find where you want to do, and then you got to focus on how you're going to do it. Because if you just jump in thinking, this is going to be so easy, I'm going to buy a pallet and I'm going to double my money overnight. I'm sorry to tell you, but no.
It ain't going to happen. No. I'm sorry.
It's not.
It's true.
It's not.
So, with that being said, what is the one last final piece of advice for anybody that's getting into this liquidation game? What do you got for them?
So when you get into liquidations, my biggest advice is research. Research before you jump. Research your sellers. Research your what person you want to buy from, and just research. Because research is going to make the biggest difference between whether you succeed or you fail. Because if you jump in and you invest $30,000 into a storefront overnight and you don't have those people behind you, those suppliers behind you, you're going to fail. But if you jump $30,000 in and you have those people behind you, your success rate just went through the roof because you have those buyers behind you. You have to remember, not everybody who's selling a liquidation pallet is going to be your best friend. They're not going to lead you in the right way. You do have to research the people you can trust in the industry, and not every truck's going to work. You are going to lose some money here and there. It's the life of the game. You're going to lose on pallets, you're going to lose on trucks, but you're also going to gain big on some trucks, you're going to gain big on some pallets.
You definitely are, yeah.
So you have to research, And the reason why I say research your buyers, though, is because when you research your buyers, that's going to tell you what you can sell. And that's what's going to help you be successful. So research is your number one.
So research goes both ways. I like it.
Research
I like
is
it. It's
everywhere.
great advice, you know. So, ladies and gentlemen, before you jump into the liquidation space, do your research.
Research a lot.
Reach out to people like Ben that are willing to share the knowledge and spread the, wisdom that you've gained over years of doing this now. Taking L's and taking W's, right?
All the time.
All the time, like everybody else. But if you guys want to reach out to Ben, what's the best way to contact you?
Best way to contact us is definitely Facebook at our retail store, Ben and Mania. Just look us up on Facebook, and that is definitely the easiest and quickest way to get a hold of us.
Perfect. There you go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Ben, thank you so much for coming to visit us. And best of luck in the liquidation space. Make sure to like and subscribe, everyone. And drive down to Ohio and go check out the Bin of Sin. Make sure to like and subscribe, baby. Woo!